Hello, everyone. Morning, morning. Hope you're all doing well. After almost a year and a bit of streaming, I still can't remember on my ND filter on my camera. Is it clockwise to lower the light, or is it anti-clockwise? I hope everyone's doing okay. As usual, discussing the video or videos of this week. This week, I only managed to do one, but that's the kind of bar I'm actually comfortable with. That the week before, I think I did 3. So in terms of routines, I think it's an important thing where you set yourself something achievable. So I must do at least 1 video a week, and anything more is a bonus, as well as a stream. That's kind of what I aim for. It's a good thing for productivity. Hey, Quaz, a few regulars. Hi, Roman. Remember, guys, if you want to ask a question, add a whole bunch of emojis right before your comment on the right. Yeah, there was some really interesting comments under the recent video. When you consider because women tend to be passive and they use covert methods to place themselves in situations or get the men that they want, because very few women directly will approach a man or ask a man. Yeah, I know they say it's changing in today's times, but they still signal. Women's overtness is acting more lewd, being cam girls, showing more skin, but with their words, with their approach, they're not doing that. And this thing about women saying they can't find any good men, when you consider their passivity, just think about that. So I think they try and covertly play it from both ends. They say they can't find any good men, but they're not actually approaching. They still want men to approach them. So is it that men are asking them out? Is it that the men that they say yes to, because of their passivity, out of all the guys, they keep choosing, bad men? So that, what does that say about their ability to pick anything good, to recognize what's good and what's bad? If they keep having an inability to recognize, if they're passive and a man approaches them and he sort of talks and says, this is me, how are you, conversation, I'm displaying, I'm peacocking, choose me, say yes to me, I'm asking you out. And she'll say, no, okay, you. She picks the brightest feathers. Why is she not paying attention to the person? So this is the big thing. Why is she not paying attention to the personality? Now, men are very basic. There are very few cads that will read a woman and know exactly what to say to get her into bed. Most guys amp up who they are and they try and impress, but they're not necessarily lying, the vast majority. As I said, most women, all they have to do is look at their fathers and people in their lives. They're generally good guys. They're okay. They're not these awful people. But secondarily, someone in the comments section made a very good point in terms of playing it from both ends. Let me find the comment. They're saying, yeah, I think it was Jake. He said, I do not believe women are delusional as they pretend to be. Women understand the basic concepts of supply and demand in social situations. what they are doing is just another form of damseling. Yes, think about that part. So when you think about women's passive position, where they get things covertly, where they psychologically manipulate each other in the schoolyard, they're kind of good at getting what they want indirectly, whereas men get what they want directly. So women damsel. So when they say, where have all the good men gone? Women are provoking good men to jump up and say, oh, here I am. I'll be the good man. Pick me. When women say, oh, my, all my previous exes, they were bad guys and they treated me badly. I always pick these bad guys. Oh, look at me. I'm so sweet. How do I pick these guys? Just, it's like the weather. It just happens to me. I don't say yes to anything. I don't pick anything. And so it provokes a man to be the hero. It's like, I will be the guy that's different to all the rest, the guy you're looking for. They are provoking good men to jump up and say, here we are, please pick us. They can throw the good man a bone, but with the implied understanding that she's his superior and will be doing him a favor by stooping to his level. So that's another important concept that was brought up, that women damsel, they fish. They say, where have all the good men gone? To make the hero pop up in the guy and say, okay, I'll be the good man. But in the end, it's sort of not, it's not what titillates a woman. Coffee. Yeah, Key himself says, women's main survival strategy, or women's main strategy for survival is lying. It's indirect. I think that's where, I think more guys have a problem, because if we're not direct, ask her out, try and impress her, nothing happens. So she sits there and she chooses. So she doesn't, as I said, there are a lot of relationships that happen where a woman barely says anything and the guy mistakes it for, oh, she's not a loudmouth, she's not a bimbo, she's the opposite of those loudmouths and bimbos. She must be intelligent. So a guy infers a lot onto her that might not be there, simply because she's passive and reading him. And she likes him. She observes a lot that she likes and that she sees, and she's just being very methodical. That's women's way of saying, yeah, I don't want this guy to go away. Let me not screw this up. I like it so far. Let me keep reading him. He seems to keep liking me and coming back. But a lot of guys are having relationships with themselves and in their imagination. Hey David, how you going? Morning everyone. Some familiar faces. Am I too loud? Let me know if I'm peaking. I think this is okay. Quaz says, excuse me if I preach, but I think good is only relative for people that are of minimal moral compass. Good people seek and desire the good. They don't game it. Yeah, it's about how honest you can, like we can put all our eggs in the basket of, I expect someone to be good, but that can be lazy if we don't use our judgment and say, I know what's good for me. It can be relative. I like the saying, there are no answers, there are only choices. So similarly, I think that we shouldn't get hung up on good and versus bad, unless it's sort of overt that everyone can agree on. You know, someone setting fire to a city, being sociopathic. You're not going to say, you know, well, again, we can fall into the relativism of, well, maybe he had a bad childhood, we need to understand him. No. But when it comes to judging what is good for you, this is part of the subjectivity that I think a lot of guys avoid. In the male space, we're very hung up on the STEM topics like science and the maths of it all, the statistics, you know, the divorce statistics, women's nature and stuff. That's all great. That's a really great, sort of think of it like foundations that a lot of your proximal subjective thinking can draw from. Like, what's my experience tell me about women? What are women like? Every woman I come across tends to exhibit this. They tend to like this. They don't tend to like this. This is the friction I tend to have with women all the time, regardless of who they are, regardless of what kind of people they are. They're not the same. And there's always these issues. That's part of the rational, objective science side. But when you're in front of another human being, you need to engage who you are, how you know yourself, what you want to say, and then when the conversation that comes back out of her mouth doesn't mesh with you, you need to be self-aware enough to know, okay, why? And okay, this is evidently not a person for me. They may just be a friend that you can keep at a distance, but this is not a person to bring into my life. So it is subjective, good and bad in that sense, where you're actually inviting things or not inviting them into your life. But there are objective goods and bads that I think socially we can kind of agree works and doesn't work. We can get philosophical about it and just say there is no good and bad, sure. But particularly for ourselves, when we're choosing something proximal, you know, our relationship, i.e. lover, it's much less about objective truth. It's much more about subjective, what works for you, what fits you. Yeah, Vera, she says, there is no good, just compatible. Although, yeah, some people's idea of good, I've dated women for a short time, very short time, that their idea of good is drama and change and variety and chaos, and like I just can't keep up. I'm a person that requires a lot of consistency and stability. So one person's definition of fun and good and happy and contentment is constant change and never sitting still. So yeah, what is good for you? I suppose the important thing is don't ignore what really isn't good for you and frustrates you, because there's a lot of song and dance. Like if the woman's really hot, and again guys, remember, have fun if you want, but recognize when you're on a holiday, a short holiday, but recognize when you think you can live in this place. You're going to relocate. I want to live here. Recognize the difference between what is home and what is a holiday. Most women that men pick are a holiday. Almost all, men don't pick, that men ask out, are a holiday. Most men that women pick, they're holidays. Women pick fun holidays all the time, just like their shopping mentality. They cycle a lot, whereas a man likes to generally get something, have it stable in his life, and then move forward having it in his life. He doesn't collect all the time. You know, he buys his favorite car, he keeps it. If he moves into a house, he's not looking to move all the time. There are a few guys that do. They move all the time. I think generally guys like stability much more. Roman says, the last date I was supposed to go on, I had to cancel due to my mum being seriously sick. When I told the lady I was supposed to take out, no understanding. Just got yelled at over the phone. Yeah, I mean, you can't tell. Maybe she's been cancelled on a lot of times, or maybe she's just got a temper. Either way, Look, you'd hope. Like, if it happened to me, I'd be suspicious, given the women I've sort of met. But I would be skeptical. But I would give her a chance to prove it was real. What did Hemingway say? The only way to trust somebody is to trust them. So yeah, she does something that you don't like once that is kind of like a deal breaker in terms of telling you about her personality. And then she does it again. Then you can decide whether or not to cut ties. Again, it depends also how long you've been seeing them to, how much time you've invested to. But then again, some guys invest months and years where she's been on good behavior or nothing's popped up in your lives that test her in a way that provokes parts of her character that you really dislike. So maybe you get along really well and you've never had an argument, or you've never had a situation in your life where she needs to support you or you need to support her. You've never seen each other where there's some sort of crisis or crossroads or speed bump where the other person really shows you that, like, you're really impressed, and it makes you love them or care for them even more. It brings you closer. Those moments, it's not like you intentionally need to provoke and stimulate crises, but they can really show you people under pressure. People under pressure will show you who they are in a big way, and then you can sort of judge where you're either impressed, it really makes you closer to them, or it does the opposite and push you away. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are only there for good times and not for bad. And you might not be causing the bad. Life comes in and causes the crisis where you need to be placed first. Can she place you first? And vice versa. When she needs to be placed first, you place her first. You know, you might want to hang out with your male friends and have a pizza while you got a weekend away, but then all of a sudden one of her family members dies in a horrific car crash, and you can't say, well, babe, I'll catch you later. I'm still going out with the guys. Have fun. Get over it. Walk it off. Phil says, are women really different from 50 years ago? Or are we just more aware of the game? Or, yeah, that too. Male and female nature is the same. We haven't changed. The environment has changed, and as such, it's shown people's nature at its worst. So when, say for instance, a while ago, you kept hearing women say, oh, it wasn't our fault, girl power tricked us. Well, no, it's effectively society telling you in a way, you don't have to act nice. You can be selfish, obnoxious, awful, treat people badly for no good reason other than your pompous attitude. And someone with a good moral conduct would say, no, I don't care. I'm not. If I'm free to act badly or well, I'll act well. So that's the point. If you're free to pick good or bad, again, objectively good or bad, or even subjectively for yourself. Think about women. If you pick girl power, you'll get a short hit, like an addiction, but your long-term life will get worse and worse. So there's no kind of sane, cooperative, long-term strategy with other people. It's just a very solipsistic, me strategy for now. It's a very kind of financial, I'm going to make money and desolate whatever's left behind me. I'm going to burn everything. I don't care who I walk all over. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to get all the goodies now. And I don't need anyone when I'm rich. But whenever I hear women say, oh, girl power fooled us, it's like, no. Girl power said you can be obnoxious and we sanction it and we'll clap our hands and we'll even reward you with money and jobs and holidays and freedom and all this stuff. But then after a while, you're left with nothing and you can't say, oh, well, they fooled us. It's like, no, you said yes to that and you threw all your men under the bus for no good reason. If you can actually give a good reason, if someone in your life did something bad to you, or you lived in an environment that was really awful to you and you can point to something objective, that's different. But it always amazes me how they sold this to women, which is a good reason why they're marketing a lot of today's the worst parts of society to women, because women are very, you can manipulate women fairly easily compared to men. Men are very basic, you can. Women can manipulate men very easily in terms of their bodies and, you know, that kind of carnal side. But when it comes to the world, apart from women, when it comes to anything else in the world, men kind of filter it through an analysis, a chess game of, okay, if I do this, this might happen afterwards. I need to be responsible for the next steps, because at the heart of men, we kind of realize if we push it too far, we're going to be homeless. There's no one coming to save us. But for women, they always know that men are coming to save them. If the government doesn't save them, they've got a get out of jail free card, which is wear a short skirt and be promiscuous, and you can still get a guy. So women have got an ace up their sleeve, men don't. If men don't do the right thing, they can be homeless. They got nothing. They lose everything. A woman can lose everything, put on a short skirt, find another man. That's why they say there's so many homeless men compared to women, because a woman always has that plan B of getting out of the gutter, whereas a man sort of finds it hard to stop sleeping under a bridge unless he can find a way out to get a job or something. It's very hard for people to give him a chance or find a way out of that situation. With a woman, take a shower, put on revealing clothing, and then man will have sympathy as well. It's like, oh, I was homeless, I was an addict, I was like, oh, come here. A man says, I don't have a job, I was homeless, like, loser. Get some money and come back to me. Human beings can be cruel. Periscopanes. I watched last night the movie Finch. I felt it has a big message about friendship, true loyalty, redemption, about stages of life as a man. Have you watched it? No. I'll write that down. I haven't watched it. It's always good when I get a recommendation. That's a good point. Vero says it's hard to build a good foundation with someone when the plan isn't followed. Yep. Again, it can be both a guy and a girl, but overwhelmingly, because women love variety, you know, the shopping, the holidays, you know, you get, let's change the drapes, let's change the furniture. Like, it's not broken, it's just they want change. It's old. Come on. They kind of, it's always a new paint job in their lives. And some women, that's all they do. I've been out with women that all they do is change. That's the engine that keeps the relationship going. A distraction with stuff around you that you talk about and you engage in, and let's go here, let's go on a holiday, let's change this, let's not go to our favorite coffee shop, let's go to another one, let's try another one, and then complain and go, we should go back to another one, let's try this one, this one's got good reviews. It's always potential and change, never stability of, okay, we found this is our coffee shop. We've found our routine, this is our routine. A lot of women, I'd say the vast majority, they don't want routine and predictability. They want change, excitement, fun. As I said in a couple of previous videos, women want stable roller coasters. That's women's version of sanity. If only I can find myself a stable roller coaster. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. But again, because they're not responsible for it, they'll say, well, that's your job. I think I'm peaking. I am peaking. Let me turn down my gain. Just a bit. I think this is better. Yep. Too loud. Channel 1800, thank you for the super chat. He says, hey Hugh, bro, love from across the ditch, love to the lads, be safe, take care, have any Hey, any collabs coming up in the future, Hugh bro? Yeah, I'll be releasing a conversation with myself and Boffin. Boffin's here in the chat. How you going, Boffin? We had a nice conversation about well, I won't spoil it. It should be up on my chat channel. Quasi-Mandai says, what is good may not contribute to permanence. Yeah. But look, I think most of us, when we found something good, we want it to last as long as possible. It's true. Your definition of a relationship that is good for you may not just be about longevity. But if you communicate, if you pick somebody that's really compatible with you, with your values, and you share a very similar moral philosophy, the chances of it lasting as long as possible are better. But if you don't care, if you're someone today that wants the world to burn, who wants impermanency, you want everything to fall over, you don't want anything to last, you just want to cycle Groundhog Day every day, you don't want to be responsible for your future, and you, like a lot of people that want the world to end, it's kind of, they don't want any future really. They don't want to make their own world better, let alone hope for the world to be better. I mean, we're all going to die anyway. Why accelerate it? Unless you're going through a lot of pain. Like if you're someone who's bedridden and you're going through a lot of pain, hey, I perfectly understand. But I don't get people who are, they want the world to end and they don't care that, hey, you want the world to end for everyone? Yeah. Like, I might want to live my way, but I try not to let it affect other people. Like, I keep my subjective choices. If I can't cooperate with the world or people, at least I'll kind of maintain a bit for my own world. But to be so solipsistic that you want the whole world to suffer for your vision, I don't have any sympathy for that kind of person. Just the guy says 3 strikes rule. No, I would be more self-aware than that, because then you can let someone. So what if they hurt you, or that their deal-breaking kind of thing is really, really awful the first or second time? You're going to let it. You won't let it happen twice. I think you need to know in your own hierarchy of deal breakers, or what matters to you, what your moral code is I can be flexible in a lot of this stuff, but there's certain things there is no second chance at all. So guys, don't rely on the objective dead science to speak for you in a human relationship that should be subjective. You should know how you feel. You should be able to trust your instinct and judgment, and be able to call upon, like, why do I feel like that? I know how to voice an opinion. I know how to ask a question. If I'm unsure, voice it. You should be able to communicate. There is too much fear stopping guys from talking openly with women and the world that they're in. Don't rely on, like, I give women 3 chances. Well, if she does something big enough, I'm not giving her a second chance. That's awful. I'm sorry. So you can't be so. This is the. I keep saying relationships are personal, like personal, intimate relationship. They're personal. Trying to calibrate them solely by science, it can be as bad in its own way as being completely emotional. Your objective, like if you're going to use something, a mechanical process or a ruler, use your constant self-reflection to know who you are and know what you believe in and how you speak about the things you believe in. Use that as the compass. Don't use arbitrary 3 strike rules or arbitrary hypergamy or arbitrary something else. All that technical STEM-based stuff is great, but if you use that as your ethical and moral compass to date women, not only will you make it almost impossible because no personality comes out of you, you'll appear like a scientist, right? You will be mechanically talking the words of other people. You know, she will never love you. She's this, women this, the female of the species, blah, blah, blah. It's like, great, fun guy. If you can't, let's put it this way. You can quote me on this if you want. If you can't apply the theory and the science through yourself as a person, it's all trivia. Okay? It's all trivia unless you can apply it in a conversation, in an interaction with other people, and feel good about it and feel righteous that it's you. You've processed it. All the manosphere stuff is interesting, useful, but if you don't internalize and process it, speak it, know it, and put it through your ethics and your moral philosophy, it is trivia. Absolute trivia. Am I in focus? Yeah, Quasimandias says one strike. I think you need to sort of be flexible in terms of like, hey, if this was me in this situation, maybe I can see how, let me not jump to conclusions, right? Or as an objective observer, if you can see that, well, maybe it's a valid excuse or her reaction may be valid. Only you can actually come up with like a sensible answer to that. I wouldn't hold yourself to a one-strike rule. I think it's contextual. But again, it comes with you knowing where you stand and how flexible you want to be beforehand. Like I said, you can't live your life on arbitrary, inflexible black and white rules, especially if they're not yours. If they come from other men, however impressive and stoic they might be, you need to really feel like it's the right thing when you're doing them. Look, I'm not saying you should do it, but if you've had 3 kids with a woman, and she does something really, really awful, that's very challenging, you're at a tough crossroad, because it's easy for us guys who have no skin in the game and say, like, yeah, just dump her. Yeah, that's a deal breaker if she did X, Y, or Z. But I mean, really have some empathy and put yourself in the situation. It's not as easy as flicking a light switch off and being stoic and say, like, my life's great now. Mr. Highway, hey man, how you going? He says, women mistake their fantasy for a crush. As a kid, I used to have a crush for Lindsay Lohan. Oof. In actuality, it was a fantasy. It had 0% chance of happening. Women are waiting for Prince, not a partner. Yeah. I think it's women who came up with the, you know, they talk about the hall pass. Like they'll say in couples that I'm faithful, but if, I don't know, pick a celebrity. Let's just pick the obvious one, Brad Pitt. But if Brad Pitt is my pass, and you funnily agree that if Brad Pitt ever asked your wife out, that that would be her past. Not that Brad Pitt would ever ask her out, but, you know, it's a fantasy. Channel 1800 Dumb says, Aaron Clary said once, if it happens once, it's a data point. If it happens twice, it's a coincidence. It's 3 times as a trend. Well, if you're a person that that could be your rule, but again, it depends on the severity of what they do. Because if you don't want to emotionally jump to a conclusion out of self-protection. You can give someone a chance depending on what they do. But then if it happens again, and depending on their attitude and how they react to it, second or third chances, and I would say beyond third chances. Yeah, but some guys just make it a trend, yeah. Black Magic 1087 says, Human, a good icebreaker after a few dates is to take her to a stand-up comedy show and see what she finds funny. This is good. It will speak volumes and speed up the partner assessment. That's a good point. See what her sense of humor is. Can she laugh at herself? Although I'd say you should be able to, and you should want to see her sense of humor right from the start as well. If you're someone who can laugh at yourself and you're not very politically correct and you've got humor that, you want to have a partner that's got a similar sense of humor, or at least can accept yours and find yours interesting or compatible. Same with what gets both of you annoyed or angry and what it takes to do that and how you both express it. Is there a compatibility in anger and friction? That's something a lot of people don't talk about. That's a very important one, because everyone's going to get frustrated. Some people shut down when they get annoyed or scared, or they don't know what to do. Some people just blow up and get angry. And it's so if you're someone who reacts to anger or joy or all those different kinds of emotions that really sort of are provoked in you, you don't choose to do them, you're not contemplating and then doing them, they're just like natural emotional reactions. That's an important thing to see. Quasimandice says, I think there's a little misspeaking here. It isn't a matter of he or she comes first. The relationships comes first, or it doesn't exist. I've talked about this with someone recently. I think if you can actually really both show that you're both great caretakers of both of you, of us, of the relationship, there's not just her. You can just say, okay, I'm just going to focus on how well she treats me. I think it's very important that you're both the caretaker of a third party, which is the relationship itself. A lot of couples, what they do as an easy thing is to have a child, and that's the third party that they take care of. And they don't really have to be consciously taking care of the relationship or themselves. That's why a lot of times when the kids aren't there, the couple, they don't get along. And when the kids grow up and leave, the couple find out they have nothing in common. A lot of couples during what's been happening in the world the last couple of years, they file for divorce because they realize they've got nothing in common and they don't like each other. So I think the important thing is to value something bigger than yourselves, which is the relationship itself. You both want to show and voice and talk about how important it is that you respect each other, the us, the relationship. So when you go out, if she's with girls in a group and they say, oh man, your man, does he annoy you? Like, no, my man's great. Don't talk about my man like that. Don't talk about us. So you're always thinking of her connected to us. And that goes a long way. But if it's just the other person, you can respect the person when they're in front of you. You can sort of say the words like, okay, yeah, babe, love you, this, that, yeah, whatever, tolerate them, not even look at them. But you really kind of love the space you're in, love the object of the relationship. I think that's a very, very good thing to focus on. It's not just the other, because the other person, there are days where you might just want some time to yourself and you don't even want to look at the other person, or you just need to be away from them, or they're doing something that might be cute one day, but because you're in a funny mood or you're impatient, you haven't slept well, or your boss is pressuring you, you've got a lot on your mind, and something that was cute last week, it kind of plays on your nerves and you lash out at them. But because the relationship itself isn't a person you can see in front of you, it's a metaphysical space. It's like a belief. That's a good way of thinking about it. Like you really take care of and love the relationship, the belief. It's like it's like an ethical system. It's like you really value family, you really value friendship, and you know when you're with your friends, you really treat each other well. You're really privileged to be in the space of your friends, and you're really on your best behavior because you love the space of being with friends, the loyalty of friends. I think in a similar way, you need to value the space of being with someone. It's almost like the other person, you love them through the space because you can appreciate them, but because they go in and out of your vision. Am I making sense with this? Because this is the way I've kind of felt through women I've been with that weren't compatible. You can say all the things to keep the relationship going, but really, when you know you're not compatible, the compatibility is the space. You don't fit together. That fitting space, that's what you take care of, how you fit. If you're kind of coming apart, let's kind of put it together. Not let's put you together with me. Let's both care about where we are. Let's both clean up our space. Let's both show each other that we value being together. Does that kind of make sense? Oh yeah, it was International Men's Day on the 19th. I don't really... Look, I know kind of how, compared to how much women pat themselves on the back every moment of every day, it's nice to have an International Men's Day, but yeah, happy International Men's Day. But let's not start becoming women. But it is good to stand up for guys. I just wish I'd see more guys in public. Whenever there's their girlfriends and they're in groups or they speak, even at their jobs, when you learn to speak well, you can still relay your point of view without, you know, getting fired because you come off as more intelligent. Yeah, sure, if someone's overly emotional, they're going to fire you or get annoyed regardless. But if you know how to speak well, all they can do is get frustrated until they're forced to up their game. There's a lot of dumb people ruling things in positions of power that they shouldn't be. When Traban says, when human is not caffeinated, life is better, easier to listen to. So are you saying I'm not easy to listen to now because I'm caffeinated? I think I've only ever done a stream like a couple of times without caffeine. Not that I need it, I think it's just a comfort drink. Hey, Karu. Let's hope your comment doesn't get deleted from here. I was talking with Karu. It seems like he's not the only one. He tried to leave a comment under a recent video and YouTube just keeps deleting it. I think what happens is that if your account gets flagged and you get put on a hierarchy, and so if it doesn't like you over time, you get put further down, and almost any word you say, if you type in the word women or men, it automatically deletes your comment because it sees you as that kind of person. Because I've noticed other people leave comments in the comment section and they say really confronting things and use words that are pushing the boundaries. They're not being completely rude, but they seem to have their comments come through no problem. So I think even it's not just if you have a YouTube channel, you get put on some sort of list, a hierarchy. It's just anyone who has an account. They've got a database of where you are and what level of censorship they put on you. Anyway, Karu says, uh, Karu, I said to Karu, start using old, antiquated words. Instead of saying women, say broads, chicks, or dames. And he says, dames don't like stability because they lack mastery. Stability gives you time to think and assess where you are and how bad or good you are. Novelty keeps you guessing. That's a great point. If you keep, it's almost like women, because of their lack of discipline and stability, they keep pushing relationships to the starting point where it's new and anything goes, and they don't have to reveal who they are. So they just keep changing the furniture. Yeah, stability gives you time to think and assess who you are and how bad or good they are, whereas novelty keeps you guessing. Yeah, they're always changing, turning up in different clothes, going to different places. You never really get to know them. If you're going to different places to eat, and every time you get together, it's always new. It's not so much that, yeah, I wonder if it's subliminal, that women are always trying to anchor themselves to the birth point of a relationship. And they don't want it to stabilize, even though they desire security, which is stability. Again, I think the thing that frustrates a lot of guys is women want security through variety. And those things are oppositional. Drives a man insane. It's probably the story of men's frustration with women is it's so hard trying to satisfy someone who's never satisfied. It's so hard to make someone happy who says, I want a white car. And you finally get her a white car. It's like, I want a red one, but you said you wanted a white one. Yeah, but I changed my mind. And the man thinks, well, you lied. No, I didn't. I changed my mind. It's like, oh, I can never keep this person happy. I'm always running with this person. Lamprey says, being social. Thanks for the super chat, by the way, Lamprey. I appreciate it. He or she says, being social with people has turned into manipulation and extension of work to use people to your advantage. Yeah. I see the way people talk, especially in relationships, because relationships, I think people are much more nervous. They tend to be a little bit more relaxed with strangers when they just get along socially, whatever. But especially with relationships, they put on this mask, this act. It's another job. And people are basically putting on acts. They got part-time, like their relationships are part-time jobs now. And they're only themselves when they go home alone. Feral Male says, do people like things that break all the time? Men build the world, including relationships. Why don't I put my glasses on? I'm squinting. Do people like things that break all the time? Men build the world, including relationships, thus a feeling of responsibility. Women are consumers. If something's broken, they just get a new one. Yeah, that's true. Think about that. Man finally gets something he loves. And he's not just going to throw it away because, like, I won't get that again. That was really hard to get in the first place. Whereas a woman is just get a new one. And they don't have interest in fixing things. The closest a woman has in fixing things is maybe cleaning and tidying up her environment, making it pretty aesthetically, but functionally, she doesn't actually have any interest in making that pretty. She only has an interest in the surface. I think it harks to women wanting to be surfacely beautiful, whereas a man needs the whole thing to make sense and be beautiful. So the whole thing needs to work and be stable. That's beauty for a man. Whereas a woman, it's like she doesn't care if, you know, it's a turd and you just paint it a bright color. Like, if it looks good, that's all that matters. Like, who cares how anything below the surface works? So, unfortunately, a lot of times women's standards are patina thin. Tyrell Dragoon says, maybe that's the rule for men and women. Men set routine and women distract them to make you go on and not stuck too long. The only problem I see is that the distraction of women today is too much. I hope I read that right. I couldn't read the grammar. Anel, human, what are your thoughts on INCELS? I don't know if I can say that word. They seem to get a lot of flack in the manosphere. How can they fix their predicament? I've never thought badly of them. Of INCELS. They're generally guys that want relationships but can't. No matter how hard they try, you know, aside from just becoming rich. But then again, you're going to get women who like you for no other reason but your money. Like, it's 100% true. Whereas a guy who's got a bit of personality, confidence, money, and all that kind of stuff, you can say, well, maybe money got her through the door and keeps her with you, but she appreciates your personality. There's a lot of guys that you can see a lot of celebrity geeks who are millionaires, and the only reason they get the best women is because of their money, certainly not because of their personality. What can they do? Well, I think a lot of them are sensible, and I automatically think back to Monday when he had a YouTube channel. I don't know if he identified as INCELS, INCEL. I hate not being able to say the words. But he was certainly someone who found it very hard to get a date and get women. And he was an intelligent, nice guy. And I didn't think he was an ugly looking guy. But obviously he was kind of not a Chad. Not sort of like a normie. But he sort of had his own particular style. So all I can say for people who find it hard is to however you can do it, is get to know yourself and show a confidence where you exhibit less and less fear, less and less irrational fear, and less need for validation. When you look at the way Monday was, I think everyone really respected and liked the guy because he wasn't afraid, he wasn't scared, he was still confident, but he knew who he was, and he kind of had an inkling of why it was hard for him. He self-analyzed a lot, and he wasn't there desperately trying to get anyone. He knew the kind of woman that would match him, and this is the important thing. Know yourself really well, realistically, and know where to blame your environment, but also where you can blame yourself and know how to adjust yourself to get what you want. So all I can say for people who find it really hard and they still want relationships is to objectively look at where you might be able to modify yourself for the better in things that you're proud of, not debasing yourself to get any woman. Don't do that. But areas where you would be proud to improve, that would matter. And then those self-improvement things would translate into being a more confident person out there and give you more of a chance. Because if you kind of don't try and improve and shave and sharpen the areas in yourself that you really are tired of and embarrassed of, or whether it's weight, health, how you speak, how you communicate to people, eliminating fear from certain parts of your character and social situations that you know limit yourself from maybe even talking to. Like, you might have seen a girl or heard a girl that was also an introvert like you, but because of your debilitating fear of not being able to socially talk to them, or not knowing how to speak, or confidently just saying, hey, hello, how you going, and minimizing that fear in you. I think of minimizing your fear in as many incremental ways and any ways you can adjust, it goes a long way in actually helping you, not just with women, but in life in general, and having a stability. So that's kind of what I would suggest. Minimize your fear as much as you can, and then start expressing your peculiar self, however it is, without apology, and find your kind of friends, maybe your kind of women. It'll be hard, but at least it'll be honest. You're not going to have to just modify and hide a lot of yourself just to have a female in your life. Because to have a relationship, a female in your life, it's going to occupy a lot of your time. And you don't want to be hiding for 95% of your life and only having like 5% in the shed or in front of a computer screen, gaming with your friends where you can finally just be yourself. You would want to be yourself with your partner. PSJ2 says, most people are just looking for something to follow. Yeah, most people, if you don't have the philosophical interest to lead yourself, to be engaged in life, to speak in the conversation, to have an opinion, to lead with something like that, to be proud of that, to have something to stand up for, yeah, you're right. Most people just want to be led. Most people want someone to lead them. Look at how many people are happy for the government to lead them. They say yes, and like they're basically a pet on a leash. Most people don't want to be their own leader. They want to be led. And the most dangerous thing today is people that are natural followers that think they can quack like a leader, but they're really not, because they don't want to be responsible for being a leader. Traban says, I find it easier to listen to Human when he's not on 3 coffees. Appreciate the chill atmosphere. Okay. I think I get on fast-paced runs when I don't know if coffee affects me that much though. I know I'm much more lucid in the morning. In the evenings, don't confuse the videos I make, my normal videos, with live streams, because kind of here I'm very aware of a lot of people and I'm trying to answer questions. I'm trying to fit in a lot. And so I think I naturally accelerate my vocabulary and speak faster. And so the speed of my my conversation is quicker. Whereas when I'm recording a video, a normal video on my channel, it's much more of it's a very relaxed, here's the script, here's the points, and I take my time, I talk, I pause, I re-record. There's no time pressure. There's not anyone listening to me. It's just it's much more meditative than this. Men's Health Space says, use your values as the compass that is individual to each of us. Yes. And your values also in relation to others, because you do not live in a bubble on your own. There's one thing to be to know who you are, be comfortable with being on your own or isolated. There's something very healthy to not live dependent on the validation of the world and women and others, but building that. Don't just sort of hide and be alone. Take stock. You take a step back. You need to re-energize and know who you are, and then when you're out in the world and present it there, then you've got a much more refined person. It's like in martial arts, you train more in private, you study, and then when the exam comes, you've got something to work with. But a lot of guys don't sort of use the isolated process to study who they are, and so then when they present in front of other people, there's not a person with more knowledge expressing those things. Echo says, human is approaching relationships as if men and women have anything in common now, when in truth, we've never been more divided. We've never been more divided, but we do have some very basic things that are drawing us together. We fit in very perfect ways in especially a lot of biological things. Yes, in terms of our natures and what we find interesting, we are very different. And today, especially, the politics has divided us even more. But what is a man to do if, like for myself, when I've had good relationships, the times where I've had good relationships, there is nothing that can compare with the company of a compatible woman. So you can't replace, you can do something else, but if you have to lie to yourself like, oh, I'd like that, but if you have to tell yourself like, yeah, look, if you've been burnt, you've been married, divorced, your kid's been ripped away from you, there's just too much pain to risk anymore because you've been there and felt that. I've actually had good moments with women I've been with. And yeah, objectively, when it starts turning south, it ends when it can't go anymore. Especially when you realize, look, I've been with an incompatible person for a long time. There are incompatibilities, but what I'd say is also don't lie to yourself to overcompensate to stay safe. If staying completely safe deprives you of a lot of life as well. I realize the environment for men is very dangerous, much more dangerous socially and relationally with women than it ever has been before. Men and women used to actually want to be together. Now we repel each other. But I wouldn't start getting too binary and ignoring your instincts. So if you're not going to... The thing is, you can't... If your body, you've got a natural interest, you see a woman that's beautiful and you get stimulated and you're drawn to her naturally, but you keep resisting any kind of self-development that would even allow you to just have a conversation with her, that's something different. Like for me, I always try and minimize the fear in my life. So from a young age, if I wanted to be with a woman or talk to her, but I was really scared, I didn't know what to say, I wanted to know what to say. I didn't want the fear there. So if you can look at women and feel nothing, fine. But if you look at women and you're really drawn and you have to kind of resist it, you're like an alcoholic trying to resist alcohol. That is what you've really got to come to terms with and find out how you can get through that. Know yourself better so alcohol doesn't affect you if that's what you want. Or learn how to drink responsibly. But I would never give a guy advice saying like, women and men completely different. There's no point. Be monk. I'm not going to tell people how to live. I'm just going to, if there's one underlying thing is I want men to be more self-aware and know who they are and be more honest, be able to express themselves. You know, the society's telling men, don't speak, stay in the corner. We don't want to hear from you. And they're kind of going, well, okay. It's like, no, this is my life. I should be able to say and live as much as women do. Don't tell me what to do. And the smarter you are and the better you speak, because look at the environment as well. Even people who are on the news, they're not very intelligent at all. Our leaders aren't people to admire. So you can actually be a lot more switched on, know yourself better, speak better, and that's to your advantage. But I wouldn't sort of be too binary. If you honestly have zero stimulation when you look at a woman or want her, fine. But then again, you wouldn't really be interested in these topics or watching my videos, would you? Like, are you lying to yourself? Or are you trying not to be hurt? It's kind of like, know yourself, guys. So your life is calmer, you're stable, you're not anxious anymore. Men's health space, a bit tech distracted today. Me? I haven't mentioned gear once except for the volume of my mic. Admiral Paul says, for most people, the manosphere stuff isn't trivia and very provocative, although I agree that it needs to be experienced to make a decent statement about. Yeah, but it's not just theory. It's kind of like, it reminds me, like a lot of guys who get up on a podium and pontificate about a lot of manosphere stuff. It reminds me of old school poetry slams in university. They go to these cafe shops and they get on stage and they start sort of they get on stage and they recite these beautiful words, and they sort of they say what's right. But then the real test is in your private life, one-on-one with the girl or with your friends, or the choice you make, whether you go to this job or that job. What do you choose? Can you speak up righteously like you do in your poetry, like you do with what you write, like the videos you admire on YouTube? Are you able to speak more like that guy? Can you express that through your own words? So you're in front of someone, it's like you hear beautiful words that say A, B, C, D on a video or in writing. It's like, yes, the lights have switched on. I found religion. Can you speak religiously in that way to a girl? Like righteously? You can object. You can say no. Remember, guys, if you want to ask a question, put a few emojis in front of your question, just so I can see them a lot easier. Well, Traban says, human is very chill today, makes me happy. See, people are saying I'm chill. Some people are saying I've had too much coffee. Yeah, Traban says, my brain deletes the bad aspects of my ex-girlfriend and I reminisce. Unfortunately, most guys have the same problem. We're lonely and our brain goes, oh, what was the last person we were not lonely when we were not on our own? Then you think of the last person and like, yeah, look at all the nice moments, the snapshots in our heads, like this kind of slideshow of smiling good moments, holidays, on the couch, arms around each other. But it's not bringing up little snapshots and slideshows of the screaming and the tears and the stress and the pulling your hair out when I still had hair. Quasimandias says, one thing I can add to conversation as somebody who could sail from Canada to Tasmania tomorrow with the right girl. Nah, they don't want novelty nor adventure. They just want... Yeah, a lot of women that like they'll say words, but they don't mean the words. I've come to the conclusion that most women, when they really express these really noble words, a lot of times it's what they wish it would be. So when they say, oh, I'm too nice, they're not. They wish they would be. It's kind of like wishing that, like, I want to start my diet on Monday. I wish I was a better person. But they actually express it like they are that person, and guys believe them because guys want to. So most of the time what women sell with their words are like, I'm like Quasimandias. If he met a woman, he would undoubtedly describe his life, what he does, his sales, he's into adventure, and that kind of lifestyle. And a woman would romanticize and say, oh, that's great. But she would be trying to portray to him that, yeah, I'm your kind of girl. I could do that. I'd like doing that. It's like, but it's not who you are. That's a holiday for you, but that's not where you would live. And most guys just hear a woman saying, yeah, I could have a holiday like that. And they hear, I could live there. Two very different things. Alonzo says, I'm suffering from PTSD listening to this. Yeah, that's true. Naylor says, people who are incel human have to understand when they are about 35 or so, it's probably not going to happen. One has to move on. Yeah. How long can you keep trying the same thing and it yields absolutely no results? There's a difference between trying and failing. Like, say you can get women, they're getting the wrong women, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. Do you stop when the quality is really bad? Do you stop where no matter what the quality is, it's not for you? That's why I say it's really important to know who you are and what you want. so that then the standards are really determined from you. A more stable, not whatever the world throws at you. Is like, because you're always like hoping, you're waiting to be fed. You're like one of those baby chicks with their mouth open and mummy keeps throwing worms in. Naylor says, true human, but incels for the most part don't feel they have to improve anything about themselves. I have been in this scene for a long time. Again, what kind of person are you? Sometimes I think a lot of guys also are really scared to death of women. And staying in a group where you all confirm like, yeah, because sometimes it's very hard to tell. You actually might be really nervous and you're never comfortable around women, but you desperately want them. So is it really a matter of like finding a girl that matches you? That's going to be really hard. So the compatibility is the issue, but then secondarily is like, really, how much do you really want someone? Is it a great talking point to be able to be in an incel group and find friends? And that's the subject that you all stand on. I don't know. Yeah, but a lot of it, same as in like the PUA guys as well, whether it's incel, PUA, MGTOW, whatever it is, a lot of guys are very myopic and they think that they're perfect and it's all women's problems. And that's, for me, that's ludicrous. If you're always complaining and you're just sitting there saying, well, I'm perfect, how are you any different to a lot of women out there who are doing the same? If you can say that and articulate your state of so-called perfection, or where you righteously stand, and saying like, I'm this way, I'm not perfect, but this is who I am, and I'm not going to put on a mask. I think I'm a good guy. I've got friends and family, but I just can't seem to find a woman to fit in with this or like this. But I can't lie and accept someone that is not compatible to my moral philosophy and my ethical standards. That's different. But if you're just standing there saying like, every woman should like me, I'm perfect and I'm a super nice guy, that is a position of neutrality. And I understand some guys, because they might not have money or they're not attractive to women, even if they are pretty good guys, that women won't look at them. So it's not always binary, but all you can do is try as much as you can within knowing yourself to be as honest and expressive and keep pushing outwardly in your life and enjoy your life. And then hopefully you can bump into and associate with people that are more like you, but the you that openly expresses itself with other people. What is your opinion about gaslighting? I'm not a fan of it. I don't like manipulation very much. Especially if it's masked as genuine, sincere communication, but it's not. It's insincere and it's manipulative, and the person knows they're doing it, or they're getting off on it. There are a lot of people that get off on diminishing another person to get what they want. Davina says, I thought Human always had coffee before his morning live streams. That is true. I almost always do. And I finish my coffee. And now I'm having my electrolyte drink. I don't drink enough water, so I have to really intentionally drink more. Otherwise I get headaches. Channel 1800 says, this philosophy needs no infighting, fellas. Generally only divides people who can help other men. I agree. I hope I didn't come off as being divisional with incels. I actually have a lot of sympathy for those guys, genuine guys. From what I've seen much saner, level-headed conversations from guys who identify as incel, both as content creators and sometimes I've spoken to them much more than I have from like the PUA crowd. And even what MGTOW has become. It's kind of all MGTOW and the PUA crowd. It's kind of morphed into one now as far as I can see. I don't know. I don't know anymore. All I know is the person I speak to, whether it's a person I can have a conversation with. Okay, people are saying the chat is teasing me about my coffee. All right. I take things too literally sometimes, especially across text messages when I can't see a person's face. There's so many cues and little facial tics and things I don't see, so I just take everything as given. CEB says, getting remarried after a divorce is like deciding whether to jump from the top floor of a burning skyscraper. Remember, if you want to ask a question, guys, a bunch of prominent emojis before your questions so I can see them in the chat. Ainel says, Human, what advice would you give to men like me who are 32, want kids and a family, but there is a lack of marriage material or quality women? It's slim pickings out there. True. But because of what's out there, the quality of women, the best you can do is be completely honest about what standards you want, that they're realistic standards. That way, you're not wasting months and years with the wrong person over and over again. If I could go back in time, that I would spend less time with incompatible people. Because don't forget, it's like a job. If you pick a job, you stay there, you don't look for other jobs. You're preoccupied with that job. If you get in a relationship, you're no longer on the market. You're not on dating sites anymore, or you shouldn't be. And so you're out of that pool. So if you resist getting with the wrong kind of women because you have standards, then you're giving yourself the best chance. Now, you may stay single still, but the quality of your relationships will be better, because so many guys just pick any woman because their philosophy today in the manosphere is all women are the same. So I don't have to have standards. Like, whoever I pick, they're going to be the same woman. No, they're not. Now, I'm not saying they're unicorns. Women exhibit the similar female characteristics as well. But it's like guys don't care about compatibility. You know, you're gonna pick women superficially, just like women pick men superficially. Is that what you're going to do? Or are you going to be, you're going to have the advantages of a man and use your brain and your ethics as much as you can to pick the quality that you want? Because it's very easy to say, all women are the same. It's like, so you can get drunk all the time. When I go out, like, everyone drinks. There's only one way to go out and party. Everyone drives fast and drinks a lot. Well, you'll get the results of that life. But if you don't drink, if you watch your speed, and if you still enjoy yourself responsibly, meticulously, you know, there's a difference between riding a motorcycle with a helmet, paying attention, being sober, being careful, not riding in the rain, watching your speed. Yeah, it can be dangerous, but like your risk goes way down, as opposed to riding a motorcycle at full throttle, full speed down a suburban street that's wet, raining, no visibility, no helmet, Well, when you say all women are the same, you're allowing yourself to do that just because all the other guys are doing it. They're saying, yeah, we all believe women are the same. Let's all go out there and party and then complain to each other about how bad women are. It's the same as all these women who have no responsibility about what they're saying yes to and saying, oh, it's society. We need better role models. No, you need to sober up. Stop complaining about the results of your drunken modes of conduct. But I want to drink. Well, good luck. Keep crashing then. I have no sympathy for you. If you're sober, I can listen to a guy being able to describe his situation, trying to learn from it. Look, I did everything I could. I learned this. I won't do that again, but I had no idea. It's like, okay, I can forgive him. First time this happened, but he was trying to do it the right way. But if you go into situations saying, oh, dude, I love strippers and I love drinking and I love driving really fast, and then you say all women are the same, it's like, no. This is primarily your fault because of the way you're approaching things. No wonder you're looking for a unicorn to come out of that mess. Yeah, Vero says, too many chaotic relationships made me go bald. Just kidding. I actually, was looking forward to being able to shave my head because when I was younger, I was very thin and I tried once or twice in my teens and 20s to shave my head and I looked sick. I didn't look healthy. I looked like I was on chemo. And but I always wanted that kind of sporty, clean cut shaved look. And then when I got heavier and I filled out, and I remember I tried shaving my head again, and I didn't mind it. And then I kind of just said, no, I just like the practical simplicity, and both kind of things worked for me. And then all of a sudden, people said, "Oh no, it suits you now." But it definitely didn't suit me. But I actually wanted any excuse to stay bald. So I know a lot of guys love their hair, but I welcome the lack of maintenance of having hair. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I don't care. CEB says, what do you think about non-Western women, Asian, etc.? Whatever floats your boat. I personally have never been attracted to Asian women. But again, if a specifically attractive Asian woman sort of walked past and someone said, "Oh, she's beautiful," I'll go, "Yeah, she is." But that kind of person you go, "Wow, like this, I'd love to be with this person. I could date them. I want to have a relationship with them." I've never had that feeling with certain nationalities. Mine's always mainly been sort of the brunette, darker-haired European-looking woman. Channel 1-800 says, "Human, do you take a strong multi?" Yeah, I take a multivitamin in the morning, zinc, magnesium, and ginkgo biloba. But through the day, I'm drinking. I'm trying to remember to drink a lot of fluids with electrolytes if I can as well. One thing my biology is lacking, amongst many probably people would say, is I'm low in sodium. I'm one of those rare people who needs to put salt on their food. So I have to add salt. I don't have enough, so I get dehydrated very easily. I get headaches if I don't drink enough water. So I'm low in sodium, so I need to top up. Some people would say nice problem to have, but I also never salted my food, so now I have to try and salt my food. I'll read some of the comments. Boffin actually put a good comment down. He said, in terms of the last video, this is why women can't find good men. He says, who defines a good man? Is it an 18-year-old girl capable of making that assessment, or a 30-year-old woman? When you deliberately cast off socially imposed relationship guidance and guidelines, you are left with a base set of mating rules in the form of natural selection preferences. Turns out that natural selection results in a lot of alienated and discontented people. Maybe the old rules actually serve to build social stability and cohesion. I agree, and the reason they're promoting the opposite, no social cohesion, you can be anything you want, says a lot. Such as if you look at the previous video where I talked about that conversation with Richard Grannon and Sam Vaknin, at least the old ways had a social script that would hold our hand for the first couple of steps, and then we'd take the baton and take the last steps. So we'd go into dates already having much of the script done for us, and then we just put our own personalities in there and polite, cooperative sort of conversation and getting to know each other. Whereas now we are starting every relationship from scratch, and that's the hard thing. Every individual that doesn't need to be told what to do, and every woman that's proud of being obnoxious, and if you can't handle a strong woman, and I don't need you. Everyone's starting relationships from zero, oppositional and antagonistic. It's like, I don't want you, love me. That's the overriding mode, which is really difficult. Almost impossible, I'd say. Hit the thumbs up button. Give me a like, guys. Helps the channel out. Yeah, I think, what have I gotten to? At the moment, I've gone up a little bit on my channel. I'm at 105,000 this week. Woohoo! Nice. Yeah, for a lot of women that say they can't find a good man, I've heard it over and over again in the comments. A lot of these women, you just say, well, take a look at your friend zone. Who are the really nice guys and friends you have that you don't want to date? You should be looking, why don't you want them? What are the guys you say yes to? And all these really nice guys that you keep saying, all these male friends you've got that you say, oh, you're great, you're a great girl, any girl would be happy to have you. Why do you girls never pick them? You need to be honest about that. Not that they will, but... From my ashes, Risen Reborn says, why I stopped dating? Because I don't want to feel that I'm dating men. Zero feminine women out there. They all think they're men. This is one thing that women on the one hand say, I don't care what you think, you're intimidated. It's like, no, I'm heterosexual. I'm not attracted to masculine qualities. If I was, I'd be dating men. And there's a lot of people that are moving to homosexual relationships, I think, because it's just easier. I wouldn't be surprised in the future, like there's just by dint of the separation and the anxiety and the hatred between the genders, that we just say, look, you know what, it's easier for me to have intimate relationships with guys or girls trying to have it with each other. It's like, you know what, it's like there's a bit of a curve, but I have a better time with guys. Sorry. It might be hard for me to sort of change, you know, but I suppose society is also trying to make it more appealing and more normal. So I wouldn't be surprised in the future that with the antagonism between men and women, that there's more and more homosexual relationships and less heterosexual ones, because it's just like, why even bother? It's like, I'm effing tired. Like, it's gotten to the point is that I like you, but I hate you. And when does it get to the point where I hate you and there's very little liking you anymore? We barely like each other. We don't even love each other anymore. When is that last bit of like going to dissipate and it's going to be left with nothing but hate? It's like the only thing I like is hanging out with guys. Look, MGTOW Maddie, he says, human, that's rough. MGTOW is nowhere near PUA. I know, but today when the MGTOW guys are very, very, I can't talk very flexible with them. They've got very hard and fast rules. Like, yeah, I remember back when I used to identify as MGTOW, human, what are you doing talking to that married man? Human, what are you doing? Like, I can't actually explore different ideas. I have to stay within the echo chamber of ideas and talk specifically about A, B, C, D, and E. And whenever I'd branch out, I'd have to stay talking around the script and the Bible of MGTOW. And I was just tired of defending what the term was, being able to talk with whoever I wanted, learning from different things. You know, if I was kind of saying, yeah, I'm still open to dating, it's like, then you're not a real MGTOW. It's like, okay, like I'm just dropping it. And the guys I've talked to, all they talk about is, I'm not saying all, I'm sure there are great guys to talk to. They're more level-headed. They're more like the old school MGTOW. But a lot of guys I've talked to on my Discord server and in the comments section, they're much closer to PUA than they are to what MGTOW was like 7 years ago. So I'm not sort of just saying all MGTOW are like this, but just to make myself enjoy discussions and the videos that I enjoy making, I just dropped the moniker, and it's just about the person I talk to. So you could be a great guy, MGTOW Maddie, but all these labels, I couldn't care less anymore. I know people like to identify themselves within groups, and it's kind of nice if you agree with most of what they say. You can go, oh, well, I can drop into that group and have a conversation. So the vetting process is kind of already done because of the moniker. But if I was once MGTOW, I can rarely have any good, friendly, open-minded conversations with what guys who call themselves MGTOW. I can rarely hang out with them or see eye to eye on very much. Or we talk about the same very, primary school things about men and women, and there's no talking beyond that. Or there's just kind of silence. No one kind of, everyone's doing layups. No one wants to take 3-point shots. Richie says, what's your day job? Graphic designer. Martial arts says, how do you see the future of humanity due to these gender dynamics? Can we come to some kind of global chaos? Perhaps some reset? Much is exposed as never before in this world. Yeah, I agree, but I don't know what's going to happen. As I mentioned before, I think there's going to be more homosexuality just because men and women are less and less getting along. They hate each other more and more. That seems like a more practical outcome to me. And guys are more practical. And women are going to continue to say, I hate you, love me, which makes no sense. And a lot of guys in the manosphere will start being already like women. I hate you, love me. You got to get to a point, if you still love something, you can't hate, you can't oppose it. How can you adjust things so you can get closer to what you love? Just the Guy says, when it comes to romantic relationships, attraction necessarily comes first, sure. Otherwise, it's not a romantic thing, it's friendship. Compatibility secondary due to scarcity. True, but that initial attraction, it's very impulsive and momentary. Like, it's very easy to go, oh, she's hot, I like her, my biology is attracted, I want to sleep with her. But that's momentary. Like, you see a profile, you go on a date, you see her, it's like, yeah, I like her, I want her. Then, but that's a split second. Then after that is the thing we're talking about, that I'm talking about, is like the prefrontal cortex stuff of who is she, my values, I say what I want. I'm honest. I'm not afraid to say no. I want to find out who she is. I'm not just going to be agreeable. So, and also you find out about her compatibility to you, what she's into, what kind of personality, introvert, extrovert, conscientious, lazy. Just sort of see if they're compatible with you. What will cause friction between your personalities? Remember, it's like you're physically attracted, that's first. Mentally attracted, you can talk to each other, get along, friendly. You have this similar sense of humor. You gel conversationally and personality wise. But third, you need to pay attention to whether you want the same things in life, and that's very hard to find. That's the really important part of compatibility. Most people have given up on the third thing of finding out if you're compatible in terms of your values in life, whether you want the same things. They're okay with the superficial. They're hot. Biology will be happy. You might make a baby, but then it doesn't care after that. Your life, what you're left with after that, all a mess. It doesn't give a crap. Stop saying the fruits. Says, Human, what advice would you give a long-term incel that nobody wants? If that's actually the case, I would say form good friendships and a social environment with, try and cauterize the need for women as much as you can. If you just see it's pain after pain after pain after disappointment after getting nowhere, stop wasting your time. If you genuinely, no matter what you try, you are incel long term, stop wasting time with the wrong people, going about things the wrong way. But if you're trying everything and you objectively know you tried everything but women won't give you the time of day, start cauterizing women out of your life. You've only got so much life. Women will always tell you to keep trying, though. They don't care if you waste your time. Okay. Nita Raven says, have you read Miyamoto Musashi's 14 Rules? I haven't. I've heard of it and I should. But no, I haven't. Channel 1800 Dumb says, Himalayan sea salt is pretty good too, brother. Yeah. Has anyone ever wondered why it's called Himalayan sea salt? Because there's no sea in the Himalayas. I think it comes from India, but Himalayan sounds more exotic. Yeah, there's just so many acronyms. It's hard to keep track of. And you can start getting locked into the religious discussions within those groups. Like, what is red PILL? What is PUA? What is incel? I mean, incel's pretty clear. That one I can say with confidence like what it is. But, what is MGTOW now? It's kind of, they all kind of morph into each other and they slip in and out. And Karu's asking me questions that I know he's being a smart ass about. He says, where do you think MGTOW is going to be in the next 10 years? And when will the collapse happen? And what about artificial wombs? He knows these are the things that kind of make my eyes roll. All I can say is I don't know and I don't really care. Doesn't interest me. Traban says, imagine for 1 second you could have a baby as a man. Would you pick, who would you pick as a mate? Your mate, the reliable, strong, calm, down to earth, etc. That was an eye opener for me. Although, yeah, I've seen guys drop their loyalty as soon as a woman comes along. So a lot of times you think with guys, and I noticed it with a good friend of mine recently. He's sort of like he's a good friend, but he's single at the moment. But when he's with a girl, he acts differently. And I started to realize there are a lot of guys who are very loyal, but they treat their friendships like a replacement girlfriend. It's like, you're not treating me like a guy, like a friend. You're treating me like your girlfriend. Don't treat me like a girlfriend. So they're very kind of giving like a guy would be, but he's very giving like a boyfriend. It's like, I started to notice that. So be very aware of what you respect in your male relationships and how they're acting. They might be super loyal and giving and always there, but the moment they get a girlfriend, they're nowhere around. Or they have relationships with their male friends. Like a lot of guys have relationships with their bros like they would if they were with a girl. So they might not be able to get girlfriends, but they put all that girlfriend energy into their friends. And sometimes it can be claustrophobic. So pay attention to what you need and what kind of friend you need. I'll go through another few comments from underneath the video, the last video. I think Karu left this comment, as well as a lot of other guys, to the question of why women can't find good men. And Wayne said this as well. He said, if they can't find good men, maybe it's because they are not good women. Usually, you'd hope a self-aware person like finds like. So awful women tend to pick compatible men. Or awful women can temporarily choose nice guys to remind themselves that what they really like is awful men. That could be subconscious. Vladimir says, I don't think they're aware of the fact that they're only attracted to people who can have 10 of them. Yeah, as in, I don't think women are aware that they're attracted to men that really don't want to commit, and you're one of many girls. Like, they don't really respect you that much. And I don't think women are aware. As he says there, women are attracted to men that can have 10 of them. Why are you special? He says, I'm at the very least yet to meet a girl that is aware. And the top guys, well, they're doing what any human, regardless of gender, sometimes does in these situations, which is, why am I doing this? Answer, because I can and I like it. Human beings are very primal. Why am I doing this? Because I can and I like it. That's very true. Mr. Donnie Max says, women's natural hypergamous desires are compatible with men's natural polygamous desires. Monogamy can only exist when women deny their hypergamous desires and men deny their polygamous desires. It's a beautiful dance. Yeah, not always. But a lot of men curb their polygamous desires by the fact that when they get married, they forego, and almost most men, they don't cheat. Or if they're in a relationship where she doesn't want to sleep with them anymore, a man just sort of says, well, there's nothing I can do. So a lot of men discipline themselves like, okay, this is what I chose. No more of this life, no more dating, no more partying, no more whatever. Whereas a lot of women just kind of think like, I'm not limiting myself. I'm getting married or being with a guy. I just want things added to my already existing life. But it's like, no, sweetheart, your old life is now gone. This is a new life with somebody else. And it's not just about your selfish needs. It's about sort of reciprocal needs. You need to be fair with a person. You can't just demand and give nothing. They don't realize they're doing a dance. Okay, Tony says Himalayan salt has all 85 minerals put in your water to heal and be stronger. So is Himalayan sea salt better than iodized salt or normal salt? Can someone put that in the comments? I'd be interested to know in terms of hydration and minerals. Rod says it gets worse meeting women after 50. They have check boxes for a list of traits, money being the top criterion. I still have an attitude of entitlement. They still have an attitude of entitlement. Yeah, women's attitude of entitlement doesn't end. I've talked to women, and you can even get it through their conversation. The older they get, in their minds, it's like, I've waited this long, I want the best of the best. Whereas a man kind of gets past his youth, it's like, okay, let me be realistic. Let me see what I see in the mirror. I can't realistically expect to pull the 18-year-olds if I don't look kind of compatible, or if I'm not rich and at least not fat and a slob. I need to shape up to give myself the best chance of getting what I want if I want someone younger. So if that's a guy's idea of, like, you know, the best. Whereas a woman, she's like, no, I'm great. I'm like a fine wine, where she's not. Women age like milk compared to guys. But women get older and they just think they get better and better and better. And in her mind, it's like, I've waited this long, I expect the best. Whereas they should be thinking realistically. The best is what you could have got in your 20s, sweetheart. When you're older, you need to kind of curb your your definition of reality. Delta Dan says, I used to get shout outs from human. Is it because I said MGTOW? No, not at all, Dan. I skim the comments, and if I can't see an obvious question, I just kind of skim through it, because right at the moment we've got like 270 people on. So I talk to anyone who's civil. If you're rude, I may not talk to you. I might roll my eyes and may avoid conversations with the same kind of aggressive, combative people. Delta says, dude, this is not the majority of us as MGTOW. Look, I'm not saying you all are, but I dropped MGTOW because I could not have more flexible conversations. Like, I'm not telling you how to live. It seems like when I talk to it, it's become very religious, and I can't talk beyond certain things, or you'll get people in MGTOW saying, well, human, you're not MGTOW because you said this, or you believe this. There's very little flexibility. There's much less flexibility than it used to be. So the whole going your own way is no longer even sort of remembered as far as I can see. It's all kind of, no, you're not allowed to get married. You're not allowed to move in with a person. You're not allowed to have kids. You're not allowed to do this. There's a lot more rules. Whereas before it used to be one or two kind of objective, like, well, you can't really call yourself MGTOW if you're married, or you can't really call, but now it's like, you're out of our church. Like, you cannot call yourself MGTOW. It's like, all right. But then even when I took off the moniker, if I tried to talk, it's like, hang on a minute, you're talking like this. You're not MGTOW. What are you doing here? So I just don't want to have the label on. But guys, I have nothing against anyone in any group as long as they can talk civilly to me. I don't hate anyone. It's really individuals who think like the herd, who don't let another sensible or civil point of view across. Look, a lot of guys still call me MGTOW. I don't mind, but I just don't call myself that. If you want to sort of say humans going his own way, doing his own thing, yeah. So I'd rather express the acronym rather than label myself the acronym, because then it engenders a conversation. You have to talk to me, not just the MGTOW moniker. It's another reason I started showing my face. I want to have conversations. You got to have a conversation with me, not a voice through the acronym group. I'm not the group, I'm me. Jacques says it's a sideways insult saying there are no good men. Yeah, it's kind of also lazy because, as I said in the video, like, what's your father like? What's your brother? What are your male friends that you don't want to go out with? All those sweet guys. No good men? Really? No. Oh, okay. Iodized salt is man-made and harmful. Himalayan salt and Celtic only in your water. Okay. Yeah, iodized salt sounds like there's a more of a process gone through it. Kevin says, what is MGTOW? Men going their own way. Or was that a joke that I missed? Yeah, Tom of Armenia says, yeah, there are a lot of red PILL absolutists now. The kind of binary thinking and binary conversations I don't do well with because there's no room to move. There's no flexibility or exploration of thought and saying, how about this? Or do you really think, no, that's a rule? Yeah, but I just want to ask a question. Do you think that, look, no, you're being a heretic. That's inscribed in stone. That is one of our commandments. Okay? There you go. MGTOW by logic. He says, I'll get married again, quite certain of it. Good for you. You know yourself. MGTOW by logic, and by his name, he sounds like a person I could have an easy conversation with. Feral Android, thank you very much for the super chat donation. He says, thanks, human. I struggle being motivated without a woman around because I'm already financially independent, semi-retired in my 40s. Any advice to stay motivated just for myself? Days get long. You sound like you're kind of self-aware, and I would just always be protective. And any women, if you choose to date, be very open about it. Guys, be as open as you can be without revealing like your intimate details, like bank account details, how much money you have, but be very open about what you want. And listen and spend enough time with a woman. Don't start being serious with her straight away. Don't move in with her straight away. Like, have a long vetting process and courting process. Really make sure this person is right for the job that you want. She'll be doing the same to you. But all I can say is take your time, be lucid and conscious, and really keep testing and do not filter yourself. Tell them what you want, who you are, and tell them what they have no right, like the boundaries you have. It's like, I will never share a bank account with you. I don't want kids, or I don't want to get married. Whatever your standards are, here's my life, and these are the boundaries. These are the only boundaries by which a woman will fit in. This is who I am. Do you agree? Are you okay with it? And some women will say, yeah, okay, or they'll agree saying, well, there's nothing I can do. But if you start hearing the conversation that they wouldn't mind having children, or, yeah, like, I want kids, I want to get married, but I really like you, but you don't want to, I guess I can live with it. That's a warning sign. Stay with her long enough to kind of see if she gets annoyed by it. Because if she's agreeing to put up with it until you move in, or until she accidentally gets pregnant and she's got you, you need to be aware. So all I can say is, Feral Android, be engaged with life, have friends, have a social circle. But if there's things like with myself, there's only a certain thing where only a woman will do, no matter how good, I've got a pretty good life, small circle of family and friends, but there's this part of my life that only a woman will slot into. You have to know the degree to which you need a woman and your boundaries that you will not let get crossed. And whichever woman you do date, be completely honest about those boundaries and about the only way a woman will fit into your life. Be very, very open about it. Do not try and impress her and give her what she wants simply because you like her. I'm not saying be rude, but be honestly compatible and be prepared to walk away from things that you know are going to be the death of your life. They're going to be the death of all your tranquility. Yeah, I've always thought that MGTOW should always been called MH OW, like going his own way, a man going his own way. It's much more individualistically what it means, because men going their way, it sort of also implies we're all going a collective way, and it's not a collective philosophy. It's a very individual one, and I think that's where kind of the bad aspects came through the back door into the group. Delta Dan, thank you for the super chat donation. I appreciate it, man. He says, for your hydration, dude, I strive to help men. I strive to be inclusive to all men. For your hydration. The $10 was for my hydration. Thanks, man. He is, I strive to be inclusive of all men. I do not want to suffer the same fate as me, if possible. I was divorced, raped, and lost my son to the system. Yeah. That's because that's the thing. When you talk honestly and want to kind of have an honest conversation and maybe help men, you're talking to yourself. You're wanting to be good to another version of you. Like, you hated what you went through. So if there's another man that's somehow like you that you can help not go through that, that's at least something. You feel like you've at least done well to a version of yourself. Yeah, Karu said a good thing. He says, do the things you enjoyed when you were a kid. That could be a great way to get out of a rut. What did you used to enjoy years ago? Try it. It may not fit anymore, but you'd be surprised what does fit. A few years ago, I've mentioned it, where I left my full-time job in the city. I decided to take a year off and really clean the slate, go completely minimal, figuratively and physically speaking. Even I've been drawing and doing art and creating stories from when I was like in grade 2. And I was prepared for that to not be part of my life anymore. So I cleared the slate and decided to see what belongs in my life now as an older guy. And I tried certain things and didn't fit anymore. But drawing and art still did. That's something that's going to be with me forever. I found that is me. But try doing things you used to do when you were young and see if they still fit. They may refresh and reboot you. If you used to play video games when you were younger and you haven't for a while and you play these new ones, you might be blown away. It's like, what have I been missing? This is a great world. And it'll allow you to be distracted, find new things while sort of the pain of an ex-relationship heals or loneliness. And then you'll find new relationships from that and know yourself in different ways. So that's good advice. Karu's a very smart dude. Try doing the things you did when you were younger and see if they still stick. But especially emotional things that got to do with people, don't be lazy and just kind of give up and like, it's no bother. Women are like this. I don't want to do this. Let the world burn. It's like you are drowning yourself unnecessarily. Try and paddle a bit. Prince Revolver says, have you ever had someone you personally know watch your videos, disagree with you and or treat you differently after watching them? Yeah, I've got family members that watch my videos, and some of them disagree with me, but I don't think they treat me any different. Because my whole thing, showing my face, stating my opinions is I feel liberated when I'm just honest, and I don't want to be rude. So, and if people get offended with me just honestly stating my opinion, I'm not making videos saying something about my sister or brother or people, like personally, like directly at people. They've got every right then to be offended and sort of maybe treat me differently because I've been talking about them and I've been sort of making fun of them or something. But if I'm talking about ideas that they're sensitive with, I'm not talking about them, I'm talking about the idea, and I have every right to have an opinion on that thing. You got to know the difference between personal and just sort of being offended by an idea, which I think is a bit childish. Martial arts orientated medicine says, thank you, human. I believe MGTAW, no need for what has become men of the past. Great, and sages did this and was normal, not this. Should be natural, but these new agendas messed around with gender dynamics and Tao get disharmony. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff today. All the stuff that used to make us harmonious between men and women, between us and life, between us and the environment. Like, you know, we used to, if we cut down trees, we used to be sort of enough for what we needed. You know, you'd cut a branch off to make like a handle for a tool and use it for firewood. Like, it'd be useful. Now we just kind of destroy a lot. We don't have respect for the world, for each other. We're just kind of these selfish little kids. We've regressed back to 3-year-olds. A 3-year-old that hasn't yet noticed that anything outside of themselves exists yet. And we never do. We prolong the 3-year-old state until the grave. Yeah, this is an interesting question that Karu asks as well. Like, for guys that miss being fathers and being married, do you miss the family life, or do you actually miss your wife, or do you actually miss the responsibilities that you have? Because a lot of us guys, whether we like to admit it or not, we are human doings, and we really enjoy doing things and building things and being proud of, like, look what I did, look who I protected, look at the day I secured, look at the future I secured for me and my family, and look what I built. We kind of get very proud about the security that we build and the futures that we build. So do you miss the people, or do you miss your status and what you could do in that environment, or the responsibilities that you had? Again, all part of kind of looking at the direct reason why you're hurting. Is it this, or is it really this that you're not facing? Did you pick this person because they fooled you? Because you really love them? Or were you just lonely? And you took the first person that gave you a reprieve from loneliness and you got along with. And you tried and tried and tried because you didn't want to be lonely. The pain of being alone and lonely was so great that you'd rather have anyone that would just be agreeable and that you found mildly attractive. So, did you really try and find someone compatible to love, or did you just try and alleviate your loneliness that was unbearable? A lot of really important questions you need to sort of face. Because humans are great at justifying things, not really facing what it is, you know. I didn't really cheat, it just happened. I didn't lie, I changed my mind. If you keep thinking like that, you're probably going to have the same results over and over again with people and keep being confused. But the more honest you are about your own motivations and why you do things and what you're lacking and what you're searching for, what you're addicted to, you'll do better at not hitting walls in the future. Any last questions, guys, before we start wrapping things up? Gary B says, I don't really know what kind of personality those 10% guys have exactly, but they can offer a lifestyle that requires a person of high income. But they can, yeah, generally speaking, in other words, I honestly think that most women are very materialistic. Yeah, no kidding. Most women are. They'll say, I don't need money. Money's not important. But then what they require out of a relationship is going out and holidays and all this stuff. It's like, yeah, they're not free. So you can say, yeah, money's not important. But if you're so naive that you can't see that he needs to work for money and supply a constant stream of money to pay for the things you enjoy, like, that's so naive. Like, oh no, I just love going out and partying and dinners and traveling and everything. What's the big deal? It's like, it requires money. And because women might pay here and there, but women overwhelmingly are impressed by the guy providing most of the money. Women may provide other things, even in a good relationship, but if they feel like they're the financial provider, they're providing the money, they don't like that. They don't find it appealing. It's primal. Tony says, you can only become enlightened in solitude. Mostly, yeah. But also in conversation, you can elucidate a lot of what you've found out in solitude, and then that conversation and expression of what you've discovered in solitude, that goes a long way in actually adding more to your enlightenment. Being able to express enlightenment to others boosts your enlightenment because you have a language for it. You can express it. You can help people. You can converse with them. You can add some of that good enlightenment to the world. Delta Dan, thank you for the super chat. He said, I did lose a lot of motivation after losing my family. I did need something from it because I do feel empty without that. I think as well, that might be a reason why a lot of guys give the advice, when guys are lonely or trying to move on and find their ways, kind of like Karu mentioned, what did you do when you were younger, is having something to do, have a hobby, have something. And I know it's hard because your mind is just preoccupied on the pain and the loss, but men need something to do. And I know we resent it because all of our doing has gone to waste and a woman just took it all. Our house, our kids. So it's like, why bother doing anything? Because if I do, I feel pain. That's what our memory tells us, cause and effect. So I'm not going to do that because I won't feel the pain of loss. If I do nothing, I will lose nothing. But our lives are better. They feel lived. They feel energized when we are doing what we love, when we are engaging and building things. The point of life is to create, guys. That's what I think. And if that's what the doing aspect is, the point is not to do it for people who don't deserve it. But most of all, do it for yourself. Guys aren't used to doing for them. It's always outwardly expressed. Building worlds, giving to women, being proud because you did this. Like, what guys get back is the appreciation of what we do to other people, but we don't never or very seldom give it to ourselves and pat ourselves on the back. The True to Six says, so you're asking, do you miss the objects that necessitate the roles you used to fulfill, or do you miss the role itself? Amurus Rogelio says, we men are empty in these generations. That's why we keep going to these women. Thus we keep being cheated of a better future. If you're going to go towards women, go to women as openly and honestly without caring about their validation as you can. And I know it's hard because it's built into our biology that men require female validation. Given the way women are, I think it's the most sane thing you can do if you find that you still enjoy women's company. Tony, thank you for the super chat. He says, thank you, Human Therapy. Thanks for the donation, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, feel free after this live stream, jump on my Discord, and you guys are free to go on there if you've got a mic and chat about anything. I don't know if I can really spend much time. I might pop in for a little bit, but I've got to do some stuff later. But after this stream, I'll pop into Discord for a bit of a chat too. So if any of you guys want to pop in there, make sure you got a mic and be civil. Don't shout over people. And don't be a spurg. Yes, Quasimandai says the role of the masculine is creative potential. Women can give birth. We don't, but everyone needs to create. Women can create passively. Men have to create intentionally and by action. We get a lot from it. That's why today a lot of guys aren't feeling well, because they're not doing anything. You got to go your own way. You got to do your own way. You got to create. That's why so many guys get off on hobbies and sport, the tactility of life, the building of something, having an object that you've actually put your hands on and built. It's like, I did this. Think of it this way. The place a man should come from is, I built this, I did this. A place a woman comes from is, I bought this. Or I attained this passively. So don't deny what works for you as a guy. Key himself had a comment under the last video saying the translation to the phrase when women say there are no high value guys on the market who are willing to allow me to treat. Yeah, the translation to women saying there are no good men is there are no high value guys on the market who are willing to allow me to treat them as second class. Why can't I just find a guy with 1,000 options who'll behave like I'm his only option? That's really it. They want men who have 1,000 options, but somehow they want to feel special, that he's going to choose her above everyone else. What's the cliche? Marriage, the delusion that one woman differs from the other. Why would he choose you? Why would he marry you? Why are you different to other women? What can you do for a guy? And women get offended. It's like, well, why are you special? Don't get offended. Tell me why you're special. Give me the values. Oh, I'm just great. I'm a nice person. Yes, so is everyone else. If we go on a date, we're trying to be nice. We like each other. Why are you special? Know how to ask these questions, guys. Like, ask them with a smile on your face. Be jovial about it. Have a laugh. But find out. Do they want a guy who can have 1,000 girls, but somehow... like, you look at women's entertainment like 50 Shades of Grey or Twilight. It's a boring girl that the best guy chooses for no reason at all. Absolutely no reason. She's got nothing to say. She's boring. No conversation. It's kind of like she wants to be a zero, but an alpha, loves her above everyone else. What would know why she's special and ask her to tell you why she thinks she's special? Most women don't have a clue. Why should I pick you? Well, why would you make a good girlfriend? Don't make it personal if you don't want to offend. Let me know what do you think? Why do you think you're a great catch? Like, I'm really interested. Like, what great qualities do you have? I'd be interested to hear. So, you're interested. You want to know about her. Tell me, what are some of the great qualities? What do your friends say about you? If I asked your mother or best friend, what would they say about you? They're interesting questions. I think they're really cool questions. If someone asked me, like, that would be a great way to start a conversation. Like, oh, this person's interested in some stuff, and it makes me have to be engaged in this conversation, not pull out cliches. In terms of when I was talking about guys creating things. Night Raven says, look what I've done. I've created fire. He's referring to, look, I've created fire. Wilson is returning to Tom Hanks in Castaway. Ask a woman, do you know how to make a fire? Talk about narrowing your potential dating pool. It's already so narrow. Do you read? Citizen Crimson said, the top 10% are not good, guys, but the bottom 90% are invisible to women. Old G says, I knew a girl once. She said, I want a strong man to match my strong energy, and I want him to put me in my place. She also complained that her last boyfriends were controlling. These are the questions you've got to ask women on dates. They'll come out with this if you start to sort of be open, tell them about your experiences, have fun, what happened. Oh, what happened in, like, what happened in your last relationship? Why didn't it work? What did you find didn't work for you? And then I'll start to come up with this. It's like, yeah, I want a real man. I want a man who knows how to put me into my place. And then you start to see these warning signs. This girl who wants a guy to put her in her place, but then again, she doesn't want to be controlled. It's like, okay, I can put 2 and 2 together. A man's ability to put 2 and 2 together when he's on a date can save him from a lot of wasted time and a lot of misery that that will follow him for the rest of his life, if you know what I mean. This was interesting. The title of my last video, this is why can't men... Initially, my video was called When Women Say Why Can't They Find Any Good Men, but I changed it to This is Why Women Can't Find Any Good Men. John S., he was watching the video with his wife, and before they even clicked on it, just by looking at the title, his wife said, because there are no good women. So this was the guy's wife saying what most men are saying. There are very few good men out there, like when women say it, it's because you probably aren't good. Women that respect men don't really say like, oh, all men are crap. And I would say the simile is the same in reverse. If you've got a guy that says all women are garbage, I'd say that kind of he might not be the best guy either. Paul, on my video about how I stood up to my ex-girlfriend, the video I made, he said, when she puts you down personally, she's putting down all the people you choose to have in your life, including herself. Apply her own standards to herself and see if she matches up to her own words and criticisms. This way of thinking helped me learn when to laugh off a woman and dismiss her words due to their irrelevance to a constructive future. Also when to listen because she's making positive, constructive comments. The more self-aware woman won't belittle you, but support you in your endeavors instead. After all, what benefits you ultimately benefits you both. Amen. I've never understood women who put down their partners behind their backs or in front of other people. That's the worst. In front of other people, they'll put down their partner. It's like, you idiot, you're part of this relationship. Again, you have to respect and value and protect your relationship. Not just the other person, your relationship where you both reside. You both respect your world where you both live in the relationship. If you talk badly about him, you're talking badly about the space you inhabit with him. You embarrass yourself. What are you doing there in the first place, I would say? Marlon on my video, what will she take from you? He said, I'm married, and every time she calls my name, I think the same thing. Women in general are consumers. They stop building anything. Consumers of stuff and consumers of your time and energy if you allow it. Yeah. Just be aware of the people you let into your life, guys, and the best way to do that is to Know how you're speaking, and know when you want to say no, you say it. You don't allow the person to intrude and make you do things you don't want to do. Delta Dan, thank you for the super chat again. He said, you would have to remove people from society for 2 generations to affect a change in anything. The dysfunction is conditioned, not ingrained. Yeah. Society will have to kind of, I think the younger generation will need to rebel over another couple of generations so they're not like their parents, because naturally kids rebel against their parents. Now you have to actually have not individual kids rebelling against their parents, but whole generations of kids collectively rebelling against the past generation of parents. And they'll probably be like, you know what, like we want to be, without actually saying it, they'll start to lean in the opposite direction of liking each other, being friendly, being more traditional without knowing it, doing the things that worked. Instead of hating men and women, we actually start liking each other. Instead of hooking up and polygamy, we're going to start going to monogamy again. So it's kind of this pendulum going back. Not necessarily we're going to go back to old ways, but going away from what doesn't work at the moment. All right, guys. We're nearly 2.5 hours again. I thought I was going to keep this under 2 hours, but good conversation, a lot to talk about. Great response to my last video. I think people like the thumbnail. I think people like that more wider open sort of shot where you can see more of me. Maybe that did it. I'll try and do a couple more videos with a wider angle. But yeah, a lot to say. Thank you. Keep the comments coming. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. It keeps the channel afloat. The less you engage with the channel, the more the algorithm thinks, well, okay. Because it's kind of like it pulls my channel. It's always a weight, an anchor that's pulling my channel underwater, trying to drown it. And the only way it kind of gets pushed above water and I can breathe is if I keep producing content, engaging with it. You guys keep engaging with it, leaving comments, subscribing. So yeah, keep it alive if you can. Support the channel, and I'll keep making content, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Have a good weekend. Enjoy your day, and I'll see you very soon. See you guys. Bye.